You.
So I'll do that. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Tim Owens. I'm one of the conference committee persons here at VSTE, and we appreciate you joining us for this special session. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that you can see me. Um, and tonight we are joined by Christine Danhoff from, is it pronounced Genoa? Genoa
Genoa.
area schools?
Yep.
Genoa.
Genoa. Yep.
Genoa. Okay. I figure if I wasn't going to butcher someone's name, I'm going to butcher the school system they're from. But Christine is going to be showing a session for us talking about littles, which is great. I was just telling her before we got started here that my wife teaches kindergarten and is very excited about this particular session. I think it's always interesting to think about how you can use technology and various tools when you're talking about students that are coming in at a very, very young age. So with that, I will pass it off to you, Christine.
All right. Thanks very much, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored to be speaking with you all this evening. I did record my session, so I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. But just to let you know, I was a former kindergarten teacher and also an elementary media specialist and computer teacher. So I've had lots of different roles and fell into the role I am now, which is a tech integration specialist for K to 12. And I absolutely love it because I still get to work with the kiddos, and I also get to co-teach along educators as yourselves, many of you that are here. So without further ado, I'm going to hit the play button on the video. I did put the link to the presentation in the chat, but it will also come up here in the recording. And then there'll be a few minutes at the end of the session here when the recording stops. So feel free to put questions in the chat as we go along, and I can answer those along the way. And then we'll have some time at the end. So thanks so much for being here. Hello and welcome to Yes, Littles Can. This is going to be a great experience for anyone that is teaching pre-K to third grade students and know what they are capable of doing when you give them the opportunity. The link to today's presentation is there at the bottom. It's bit.ly/littlescan20, and there you'll find all the resources that I'm going to be sharing today with you. So let's dive right in. My name is Christine Danhoff, and I'm the Technology Integration Specialist at Genoa Area Local Schools, which is in Genoa, Ohio, which is in Northwest Ohio. I would love to connect with any of you after today, so feel free to connect on Twitter at CMDanhoff. You can email me or reach me from my website as well, and I'd love to connect and see what you're doing with your students. So before we even get started, the first part of all of this is that, yes, you can do this too. So many times in my job, I hear teachers and educators tell me, I'm afraid to click that. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's that whole growth mindset piece of just being willing to try it. Even if you don't feel like you're techie, you could try it. Just as your kids explore and experience, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. So you can do that. And then let's dive right into what we're going to create with our littles. So looking at today's classroom, no matter what you teach, if you are an administrator or a preschool teacher or second grade teacher, whatever you're doing, classrooms look different than they did years ago. So you'll notice that our kids really thrive when we give them voice and choice. We let them decide how they're going to demonstrate their learning. They're going to allow themselves to share and talk and video what they're doing. They're so used to these tools now. Give them the opportunity to collaborate with each other, to be critical thinkers. Also allowing them to be their own assessment people, self-assess. What do they think they could do better on? What did they do a great job on? So all of these pieces fall right into place with some of the activities and resources I'm going to share with you today. So where do we begin, right? If I'm a kindergarten teacher or a preschool teacher, what do I even start with? So just like anything else, give them time to play. Just as adults, we get something new and we have a new phone and we have to figure out how to use it. We play with it, we explore, we experiment, we see what's going to happen. Same goes for our students. Give them an opportunity to explore, model for them some behaviors, what can they do that are good choices, and then let them have some play time before you actually dive into a lesson or an activity. So we're going to start with some GSuite resources here, so the Google Apps. So if your school is utilizing Google Apps, awesome. If you're using Microsoft tools, you could do that too. They're all awesome resources to allow kids to create. So the first one I'm going to share is Google Slides, and some of my favorite resources to find examples from is Slides Mania, which is where I got the template for my presentation here. So if you take a look and go to Slides Mania, you're going to see that they have a ton of awesome templates specific for education. Planners, choice boards and games, which is a huge, real deal. Interactive templates, which is what I'm on now. Week at a glance here, so you can see and kids can click on each day of the week. So many different things that are available for them, no matter if you are teaching right now virtually or if you're hybrid or if you're in person. We're all in different places right now, and our kids and us are continuing to adapt and move with those times. So check out Slides Mania, and then over here there's another section called By EDU for EDU. So it's by educators for educators. So you can see there's some digital check-ins if you're teaching remote. For those kids that love Animal Crossing, Matt Mayer, he is the one that made the template I'm using for Toy Story today, which I got off of here. So there's a lot of great things on Slides Mania that you can utilize with your students. Now, the other big piece of using slides is editing the slide master. So you can see here, whenever I don't want my kids to move things around, like my text or instructions or anything like that, you're going to go to the slides menu and say edit slide master. And I'm actually going to dive into one here very quickly so you can see where that is. When I go to the menu slide and go down to master, I can take any of these slides, even though they have text on it, and I'm just going to drag over it, get rid of it, and I can put a background in there. I can make a color. But if I want a background or images or text to stay put them on the slide master, click back over here, and then kids won't be able to move any of those things around. So such a great way to keep them and allow them to be able to interact with it. So here's some samples that I've put together, and these Hyperdoc templates came from Nadine Gilkison, and she is another great person to follow on Twitter and see all the resources she's always willing to share. So I took some of her templates for Hyperdocs and put them together for different units we were doing with our grade levels. So once I put those together, you'll see one of them is a subtraction one, and I've made it so you can use these templates and modify them. But you're going to see that students are going to explore first. So they're going to watch a video. And then from here, I've included and embedded in my slide audio, which is fabulous. Include video of yourself too. There's all kinds of great things you can do.
Click on the orange box.
So kids that you know can't read that instruction with our littles, they're going to need your voice, and having that little voice button and incorporating the audio is going to help them. And then they're going to have to click in the box, and they're going to have to do 10 more, 10 less. So this was a first grade activity, of course. And you can do a little preview, but you're going to notice that there's this pair on here. We're going to come across what that pair stands for in just a moment. So notice though, I'm in slides. I created all these in slides, put them together, copied and pasted, move things around, and have it ready for my students. Now, after we take a dive into our slides and see how those are created, I want to share with you another one here before I move on. This was a sample for reviewing short vowels. So you can see here I am in my slides, and once again I have these pairs here, which is called PairDeck. So when students go into this, we're going to take a look at what PairDeck will look like. All right, so we've got slides. That's a huge piece. Kids can utilize slides very easily because they can drag and drop. They can move things over. They can type in it. They can do all kinds of great activities for you to see what they really know. Now, another great resource for kids so you can get some assessment data and get an idea of what they understand is using a Google form. Now, you'll notice here I have some kindergartners. They're doing a quick assessment on digraphs. And so, of course, this assessment wasn't a quiet one, but the kids were working through using the pictures and being able to choose which die graph would match. And it was a great way for the teacher to be able to see how well they understood die graphs. You'll see down here a preschooler using an iPad to scan a QR code of a form. So they didn't have Google logins for preschool, so the teacher worked around it and we made it open and made a QR code. Kids scanned it, they went on their tablet, which is touchscreen, much easier for them, and they were able to touch pictures to match letter sounds or numbers and counting. So many great ways to use that. Now here's one of my favorites that you may not have heard of before. It's called Talk and Comment, and also they're creating a QR code. So I'm going to show you the Talk and Comment. So on here, I'm going to go to the next slide. This one right here, I've built a sample, and all of these you can use that will just make a copy for you to have on your own. So the one in the middle about die graphs, you'll see that it made a copy. And then you'll see here it says Talk and Comment, and it looks like text, but the kids see the picture, but I wanted to include audio in it too. I go to the eyeball. This is what the kids are going to see. So they're going to put their name in. If I type my name right, there we go. And then they'll see the picture, but they'll see a play button. And within there, oh, hopefully it's going to work. Of course, it's not going to work today. So when I press the play button, it did that before to me, you'll hear my voice say 3. So the kids will hear it, they'll see it, and then they have to choose which one. Now, a little bit of advice about Google Form with littles. Make each question a separate section. So as you can see here, when I type a question, okay, I'm going to go to this button here to add a section. That way they answer a question, they hit next. Otherwise, they may miss one along the way, and it's hard for them to go back and find it. So let me demonstrate for you how to use Talk and Comment. It's an extension, so it now shows up over on the right side of my screen, and I'm just going to do a quick question about a story. Who was your favorite character in the story? Okay, so now it's going to give me the audio. I need to highlight the link, not the part that says voice note, so only the link. I copied it and I'm going to paste it. Now it looks like that, right? I can still add a picture. As you saw my example of 3, I had a picture of a 3. I can also change my template, whatever I want it to be. So how are they going to answer? So maybe they're just going to type, you know, maybe this is 1st or 2nd grade and they're just going to inventive spell and type that back in. Now you'll notice here, I'm also going to go to the 3 dots and say description, and I'm going to have the audio. I'm going to have for my kids that are higher level and can read that, I'm going to type the question. Who was your favorite character in the story? That way, those kids that don't need to listen to it, or they can, they'll hear it, they'll follow along and read it, and it's going to help with their reading fluency. And then from there, they'll type it in. Now, when I hit the eyeball, watch what happens. Who was your favorite character in the story? So easy for the kids. They know play buttons. They'll click that, they'll hear it, they'll see it, and then they can inventive spell their response, and then they'll hit next, and it will go to the next question then. So Talk and Comment is a huge part of that. Now let's take this form though and make it a QR code. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send. I'm going to get the link, and I'm going to copy the link. Now I've included for you here, if I go back one of my favorite sites, okay, is goqr.me. So I have this. I'm going to go to the World Wide Web for a website address, and I'm going to paste that link to the form. Now you're going to see it gave me a QR code over here. I can download it, print it out, put it in the room, put it at a center. Kids will scan it with their Chromebook or with mom and dad's phone if they're at home learning virtually, and they can complete the Google form right from there. You can also, of course, incorporate the link in Google Classroom or in your LMS, Seesaw, whatever it is that you're using. So such a great way to get some quick assessments on your students and allow them to try that. So try these out and see what you think. All right. So now these students are kindergartners again, and they are utilizing a self-checking Google Sheet. So sheets are some that you're like, well, how would I use that? And it's self-checking because as they type in their response, it's going to turn green if it's correct, and it will stay red if they need to fix something. So what does that look like? So here's a sample. I've included. So here's my phonics one. So here's the sample for the kids. They need to tap it out. They need to write a sentence then, or type a sentence. So for example, if I type sun that way and go to the next box, it doesn't turn green. So the kids say, well, let me tap this out again. As soon as I type sun correctly, now it turns green, and then I can also type my sentence. The sun is yellow. Okay. Now, the one thing with spreadsheets here, you'll notice is it will turn green only by recognizing punctuation. So if I did put a lowercase t there, it would still keep it green. So Google hasn't come across a conditional formatting way to make that work yet. But if you do want to make sure they have punctuation, that's a good way. So how do you do this? You go ahead and you go to the cell that you want to create, and you go to Format, Conditional Formatting, and you can see over here in that cell itself, it says text is exactly hat, it's going to turn green. If it's not hat, then it's going to be red. So any other ones that the kids would type in would be that. Now, if it puts text contains cap, I could also make that a correct answer and make it turn green if they type in cap. You can see here that here is my punctuation. So if it ends with a period, question mark, or exclamation point, it's going to turn green. So conditional formatting, you just go ahead and say add a rule, and that's where I would choose and type in if it's this, text is exactly, and I put what the answer is. So this could be for math. There's a lot of great resources out there for hidden pictures using sheets as well. All right, another resource used with Google Sheets is the site called Flipgrid, and there's flashcards, game boards, manipulative, scavenger hunts, all kinds of things, and all it requires you to do is typing in some information into a Google Sheet, and then bingo, kids are able to practice vocabulary words, alphabet letters, all kinds of things that you can try out with students. So check out Flipgrid's site as well. And then this one is one from Christine Pinto. If you follow her on Twitter, she's got a lot of great resources. And this was one from a while ago. So she had one where the kids are incorporating a Google drawing, and then from there, they have to go in and enter in and make their graph by using conditional formatting. So such a cool way for littles to utilize this. Oh, my favorite one next. So GSuite has Jamboard. Oh my goodness, and if you have not heard of Jamboard, jump on the Jamboard train. It is like Google Slides, but very easy for kids to use, and it is fabulous on a tablet or a mobile device. So if mom or dad put it on their device, kids can write on it. So if you have non-touch screen Chromebooks in your district and you want your littles to be able to still draw and write, utilize Jamboard and let the parents know or guardians know about this. These are some templates you can use. This was one we use foundations in our district, and it was a great way for my son during remote learning to be able to build his foundation word tiles without having all those letter tiles on a magnetic board. We did it on the app within Jamboard, and then he would undo and it would put all his letters back. He could mark them up and do all kinds of things. So here's a sample. And you can see I modified a Google Slides activity with the link here and made it into Jamboard. So it's short vowels. So the kids have these tools on the left here. So I am on a computer, so they can do this on a Chromebook too. If they're on the app version, they'll be able to use their finger to move things around. So short vowels, long vowels. So they have to sort just by using the arrow select tool to move. Then they need to write. So if they're writing, they can pick what kind of pen they're using, and they can practice. And of course I'm using my mouse, so that is horrible, but if the kids again are utilizing a touch screen, that will be helpful. And you can see I just make different scenes. So now it's the Alconin boxes where they're sounding out and tapping out, and they are writing it with their finger. Now they could also type the letters, so they could use the text box and type the letters in there too. So all kinds of fun things that you can do with Jamboard. Now, one other thing I want to share with you about Jamboard, if you click on Jamboard here, I've just started putting together a ton of Jamboard resources that I've collected from Facebook and Twitter and put them all into one Wakelet collection. So feel free to check this out. There's a whole Drive folder I've been hoarding together and putting Jamboard resources in there as well. And then I love to share. I love to collect resources and share with other educators. So if you click on my folder here, this will take you to my gold mine of pre-K to 2 templates and resources of holiday choices, coding, which is coming up, Hour of Code. There's Jamboard templates, Bitmoji classrooms, all kinds of things, and then some extras just down here. And you'll see Nadine Gilkison's, I've got her templates, a lot of them down here that you can modify and utilize in your own classroom. All right, so we've got the GSuite tools down. Our kids have modeled, we played with them, and now we've taken a dive deeper. So now we're going to take that Google Slide activity that I had here, and I'm going to install an add-on called PairDeck. Now you may have to ask your Google admin to allow PairDeck in the Google admin site, so that way you'll see it pop up as an option and you can add it. Now once I hit PairDeck, it's going to open up a window over here on the right, and I can make these slides anything I want. So this one, students are going to write or type something. This one, students are going to be taken to a website to view it. This one, students are going to draw on there. Now there is a free version and a paid version. And so you get many things that you could do with the free version. You do not have to worry about getting the paid version. Start off with the free version. From there, what's great is you can lead PairDeck in 2 different modes. So I could lead my students in what I call instructor mode. So if we're together in a Google Meet or Zoom, or if we're together in the classroom, I love to use instructor paste. Now, if it's something remote or kids are doing for practice at home or in class, student paste is great so they can go at their own pace. The nice thing about that is if it takes multiple days for the kids to complete it, it remembers when they click on the link where they left off. So they don't have to worry about going back and saving their answers. And you're going to see an example of that right now. So here I had already completed this activity. So it was at the end of the activity, and you can see it remembers my answers I've already typed in. So the 5 vowels. Sometimes the activities at our websites won't load up here, so do model for your students to click down by the pair on the green letters and it will load that way for them. And then here we're going to get into some writing, and you can see I already wrote and tapped out pig. So that way my teacher is going to be able to see all of these different things that I did. So the kids go through, they're doing all of these different activities, and then when they're done, they're done. The other cool feature about this is that you can include audio into your PairDeck slides, as well as including videos if you want. So check out PairDeck. All right, Flipgrid is another awesome resource for littles because all they have to do is click the plus button, and it's a red one now instead of green. But here's some kids just reading a part of their favorite book. The teacher did not have time to pull each kid over to read for a few minutes. So how can you do that and be able to still hear all their voices? Flipgrid. You post a topic, they get the code, or you assign it through Google Classroom, whatever it is, they click the plus sign, and then this is what it will look like. So I'm going to click on this one here. Here's a sample student. He's reading a part of his favorite book.
Good job, Sam. Good job.
And so he's able...
Mama Bear said,
He's able to read a part of his favorite book. You can see that immersive reader is built in this, so they can have the directions for the activity read to them. There's closed captioning available. And then what's awesome about this is that once I have these here, I can take each one and each student's video becomes a QR code, okay? So from there, I could share it with the parents. I could put it inside of that book, if it's their book or something, and have a read aloud for them to listen to as they are following along in the book. There's so many ways that you can utilize Flipgrid to hear your student's voice. That's just one of them. So many fun things. Another great tool to use to hear students' voice is something called Book Creator. So let's take a look at a sample all about Ohio. These were some 2nd graders. We were doing mystery hangouts with other classes from around the world and the United States. And so these girls, instead of us always telling about Ohio and making a slideshow, they made their own book creator book at home. So they've incorporated audio.
Ohio, so much to discover.
And then they've included our state birds, our state flower. They added their voice. And what's awesome about Book Creator is not only can they add their own voice, but the book can read to them. So you can utilize this as both an instructional tool, or you can utilize it for student creation. So a really awesome way to do that. And once again, it has a free version that you can start off with. And then if you really love it, you can take it to the next step. Seesaw. Oh my goodness, Seesaw is, some consider it another learning management system. We utilize it in correlation with Google Classroom. So you can take a Seesaw activity and assign it to Classroom, so that way everyone has the same learning management, but wow, Seesaw is very developmentally appropriate for your students. There's a ton of already created activities in their activity library. So if I go to assign activity, in the community library, I can search by K-12. This is not just for littles. It can be used by anyone. If I want to look for Christmas or gingerbread, I know that's a topic that's coming up. So I'm going to take a look here and look at all the fun things that are there. Stories, decorating, counting, addition. Take a look, it's available. And then once you find an activity, you assign it to your students. So here's a coding one for Thanksgiving that I assigned. And the students will go to activities, and they'll go to that activity and hit the green plus sign, find their name, and then they do the activity. So they're going to be moving things around for this one to code, and they can record their voice, they can snap a picture. So all these things they could add to their own personal journal, and doing these activities for teachers to see, no matter if we're in school or we're remote or we're wherever we are. Kids are able to manipulate these buttons, and they love to record their voice. I know that's a huge piece. So check out Seesaw. That one is free as well. I love to share these free tools. All right. Well, I appreciate you joining me today. That was a lot of different things, and there's so much more out there. But hopefully one or two of those tools can really spark your interest and something to try. You know, if it's just you're trying out Jamboard, or you're just going to try the talk and comment in a Google form and see how that goes for your students, pick one or two and then go from there. See what they can create, believe that they can, because wow, they can really be empowered if we give them the chance. And if you'd like to get in touch with me after today, feel free to reach me on Twitter, my email, or my website. I would love to connect. And then please feel free to fill out this form here on feedback or ideas that you have that can make this a better presentation, or any ideas that you want to share with me, please do so. And then once again, our link to today's presentation is found there. So thank you once again for joining me for Yes, Littles Can. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. Stay healthy and stay safe. Bye-bye. Well, thank you everyone for joining this evening. That half hour goes by way too quick, and someone said, keep sharing. My problem is I probably could talk all day. So, but I know you all have things to do. You're very busy, and I appreciate you all hanging in there. Feel free to email me, reach me on Twitter, or feel free to check anywhere else. And I'm more than happy to help and answer questions along the way. So glad you could all join us. I'll hang on here for a couple more minutes until the end, but thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Christine. And I also wanted to just mention, I put a link to Discord in the chat there. That's sort of the back channel that we've been using for the entire conference. So if people want to continue these conversations, please feel free to do so there. And this was recorded, and so this will be up on the online schedule as well as on the VSTE YouTube channel, probably within the next day or so, for people to be able to go back and watch. I know there was a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people saying, I want to go back and watch it again, or be able to bookmark the links and things. So this is great. Thank you so much for putting on this session today.
Thanks so much for having me. Everyone have a great holiday.
You. Bye.